Hello everyone and welcome to this Soul Dust Academy video in which I will be talking about a process that I like to call mental alchemy. My name is Tanya and again this is Soul Dust Academy. And so it's been said that the universe is always showering us with blessings, but we always have our umbrellas open. And I think this is true to a great extent, a sad extent actually. We are always somehow focusing on the negative and getting in our own way really with what we really want. And if we're at cross purposes, if we want, a lot of money, and yet we're saying at the same time, oh, I can't afford that. It's too much, we're at cross purposes. And so that's where if we're not aligned and we can't easily, it's not going to be possible really to achieve that desire of ours if we don't get our every part of ourselves, all of our bodies, into alignment. Okay, and so this video we're focusing on getting our minds into alignment. And in the West in particular, we have pretty strong analytical and logical minds. It seems like our school systems really train us well in that, and it definitely has its place. But at the same time, it can get us stuck in a particular pattern, a particular vicious cycle. And especially if that trajectory or that cycle is negative or at cross purposes to what we truly want, what our souls want, and the kind of life that we want, that's when it becomes particularly important to interrupt those thinking patterns. So, what we're going to do in this video is to basically, we'll take a close look at how, why we put up those umbrellas. It can be for a particular it can be for protection, it can be for because of fear, it can be because of limiting beliefs, it can be simply because of these patterns of thinking, these patterns of expression, because a thought will become an expression, a word, and words become actions. So these words, these thoughts, we can pick up from our environment, our families, our communities, our cultures. And in the West, again, in particular, I think for some reason these negative patterns of self-talk are pervasive for some reason. And so we're going to learn today how to interrupt those, and I'll give you a couple of really key practices. But the practices or approaches or techniques all depend, they rest really, really heavily on staying awake. And so this is the first step, is to stay awake as much as possible to those thought patterns. So to remain conscious, super conscious of the thoughts that we're thinking, the words that we're speaking to ourselves in our own minds. And basically all of the thoughts that are flowing through our minds. And these thought patterns really do have a very real and big impact on the rest of our lives, the rest of our, our emotions, our actions, and even our physical bodies. So it's not insignificant. These thoughts that are flowing through our minds, we want them to be positive. We absolutely want them to be positive. And so in order to monitor them, we have to maintain this level of consciousness, this level of being awake to them. So how do we do that? Well, it takes practice, okay? And if you have a meditation practice, that's really ideal. This is what meditation is all about, is to train us in monitoring our thoughts and letting them go. But if you're like me, just the mention of the word meditation just kind of sends me in the opposite direction, because for some reason it just doesn't appeal, this thought of just sitting for long periods of time monitoring my thoughts. But you don't have to sit. If you do, it's wonderful, and it can be really fruitful for the other areas of your life, even if it's as short as 15 minutes a day or 15 minutes a couple of times a week. If you just sit in a quiet place and watch your thoughts, follow your breath, let the thoughts go, it can be amazingly impactful in allowing us to maintain or develop that consciousness about our thoughts in the other areas of our lives. But the good news is if you don't have time, and we always can make time for the things that we want to make time for, but if for some reason this meditation practice doesn't appeal to you, you can develop it on the fly in your life. You can try something like a walking meditation. If you walk or run or exercise, you can decide to devote that time to this kind of training your mind as well. Train your body as you're training your mind. So walking meditation does have particular, there's a particular way to do it from a Buddhist perspective, but you can make it up. One of the ways that I've been taught to do it is to say something like, I have arrived with every step. And so, if you're walking fairly slowly, it can really work. I have arrived, I have arrived, I have arrived. And it really helps you to stay present. And it also helps us to focus our minds on that thought. Okay, and of course our minds are going to drift, and that's when, excuse me, that's when you'll want to again kind of bring your conscious attention to that drifting and monitor it as much as possible. What have your thoughts drifted off into? And if they have drifted off into negative territory, then that's when you'll need to go to the next steps. Okay. And I'll get to those. How else can you stay awake? Well, you can set alarms throughout the course of your day, and it's great to do this with your cell phone. Just as some of us set alarms to wake us up from sleeping, we can do the very same thing in our everyday waking life to wake us up into that heightened level of consciousness. And you can do this, set however many alarms you want throughout the course of the day. Maybe it's just one every day at noon, and that's your check-in time. What could be really fun, though, is to set random alarms throughout your day to surprise you. And the purpose of them, again, is to wake you up and to help you to monitor your thinking. So when one of these alarms goes off, think back as far as you can to what thoughts were going through your head. And if any of them are negative, don't put more blame on yourself. That's going to defeat the purpose. Simply redirect. And I'll get more into the next steps here as we go along. But the setting little alarms can be a really fun way to wake up into that next level of consciousness in your waking lives, because a lot of us are sleepwalking in our everyday lives, particularly if we have really busy work schedules, busy family schedules. It's really hard to not get into that groove just to get through the day kind of thing. So another way that you can kind of wake yourself up out of these grooves is and to cultivate this state of heightened consciousness so that you can monitor your thoughts and make sure that they're in alignment with what you want. Okay, that's the whole purpose here. Another way is to just have little symbols for yourself. Okay, so it could be something like a yellow light when you're out driving. Driving is a great time to do mental practices. Meditation on driving meditation, or it could be something like the drapes on a window, whether they're drawn or open. That can help you be one of your symbols to trigger you into saying, okay, I need to stay awake. It could be anything, any little symbol on your computer, something that you will see on a fairly regular basis that will trigger you into thinking, okay, I'm supposed to be staying awake. What were the thoughts that I was thinking? Are my thoughts in alignment with, with what I want? So those are some different ideas that you can work with. Okay, so I'm just looking at my notes here to make sure I haven't forgotten anything. So it takes about 7 days to begin a new habit, and we really are rewiring our brains. We are laying down new mental pathways when we do these things. And so after about 7 days, it will hopefully, this process of whether it's alarms you're setting off or little symbols you're setting for yourself, this this pathway to trying to get to a higher state of awareness, super consciousness, kind of a maintaining a witness on your own thinking, should be getting a little bit easier, more of a habit for you at the end of those 7 days. And hopefully the new more positive patterns of thoughts and self-talk that you're doing at the same time here when you interrupt these negative thoughts will also be becoming more sort of how you are now. You're laying down a new way of being. Okay? So the 3-step process is really simple. It's just to catch yourself, and staying awake is essential for that. So to catch yourself when you're thinking a thought that you don't want, thinking a thought that's not in alignment of the life that you want to live, or the life that's, you know, who you want to be, and hopefully that life is filled with positivity and love and joy and all of those things. So if you're thinking thoughts that aren't joyful or not full of love or not full of forgiveness, then we want to turn those around and we want to interrupt ourselves. Lots of times they're long-standing unconscious patterns. Again, we could have inherited them from our parents and just grown up around our parents who said things, you know, when they, you know, say they're nailing something and they hit their thumb, and it's just like, oh, you idiot, you know. It's just that negative self-talk that we've just absorbed from when we were very young, and they may have inherited it from their parents, and they from their parents, and it goes all the way back. Or again, it could just be cultural, but it's a long-standing, very often unconscious patterns of thinking, self-talk that we want to interrupt. So just catch yourself, interrupt, and if you caught yourself, amazingly wonderful, because that's more than half the battle. But again, it's really key not to heap more blame on yourself at that time. But it's a great opportunity, if you can, to exercise some forgiveness toward yourself, some compassion, some self-love, and even you know, acceptance. Okay, forgiveness, compassion, acceptance, and love. If you find that too difficult at the beginning, you know, just simply redirect into a different thought that you do want. Okay, so instead of saying, you know, you idiot, you've you know, hammered your thumb, you could say something as simple as, oh, at least, you know, I didn't, it wasn't the saw, and I didn't saw my thumb off, something like that. It doesn't matter how stupid it is. It's just redirecting it into something else, redirecting it into seeing the silver lining. And that's really the, you know, the whole process of mental alchemy. Alchemy is this process of transforming base metals into gold. But this process is transforming your base thoughts, or your negative thoughts, and self-talk into the precious metal of silver, seeing that silver lining, turning it on its head. So another example would be, instead of saying, instead of saying something like, what a mess, this, you know, this situation or this room is a mess, think about what a great opportunity that it's giving you to reorganize, or to organize at a higher level. And that's what any mess really is offering you at any level. Instead of why is this happening to me, it becomes the same thing when you turn it on its head and try to turn that negative base thought into silver, into something better. Look for the silver lining. This experience is the perfect teacher, and it is. It's very true. In any circumstance that we find ourselves in, there are always there's always the silver lining. There are always things that will make us feel really bad, the negative, and we, for some reason, are very gifted at focusing on that. And there's always also the things that will make us feel good, and the positive aspects in any situation, in any person, in any given day, the weather. You know, if it's a really, really gray, rainy, you know, just really bad weather day, That's obvious, okay, but there also probably is always going to be a little patch of blue sky at some time. There will be those little rays of sunshine that are peeking through. There may even be a rainbow. So it's just a matter of, it's not Pollyanna-ish, it's just simply choosing to focus on thoughts that make us feel good. Try to, instead of looking at all the gray and complaining about it, look for what is good about that. It's a great day for, having your favorite latte drink or whatever, or it's a perfect day for curling up with a book by the fire. So it's reorienting your thinking, and it's really powerful because it's allowing you to control your thoughts, because thoughts are very powerful. So you're harnessing them to achieve what you want in your life instead of letting them hijack you into this spiraling negative state. Okay, so it's a very powerful way of being in control of your own thoughts, your own self-talk. You're the one that's in control, and it all starts with staying awake. So this three-step process here is, again, interrupt yourself, catch yourself in those negative thoughts, and then if you can, forgive yourself. And it's something. Another example would be spilling a glass of milk, the proverbial spilled glass of milk. Instead of saying, oh, if you spill a glass of milk, instead of berating yourself, saying, oh my gosh, I'm so clumsy, or look, it's all over everything and it's soaked, and just spiraling down, it's gonna ruin my whole day, I'm gonna be late, blah, blah, blah. Our minds just go if we're not careful, if we don't really have really strong, hold the reins really strongly on them. Instead, just say, hey, it's a spilled glass of milk. What do they say? No use crying over spilled milk. And if it were your child, what would you say? Hopefully you would say, sweetheart, no big deal. It's just milk. We'll clean it up. It's not a big deal. So show this to yourself. Show this compassion, this forgiveness to yourself. Unravel any negative situation. And it's the very same technique, whether it's a spilled glass of milk, which seems fairly small, to huge, big mistakes that we can make. It doesn't do any good to go down that negative pathway. As soon as you can, just forgive yourself. Show yourself compassion. You're doing the best you can. And it's an amazing difference on that self-talk and those thoughts that we use toward ourselves. Catch yourself, interrupt the thought, hopefully with forgiveness and compassion and acceptance and love, and then redirect to a positive thought. Look for the silver lining, that mental alchemy process. Look for the silver lining. What is the situation asking you to do? Is it asking you to cultivate those qualities? Maybe it's as simple as that. Or is it asking you to open up new entire, areas of yourself in your life for something bigger, like losing a job? Maybe this is the perfect opportunity to start your own business, or go back to school and learn something that would be much more rewarding and fulfilling for you. So the sooner we can redirect to the positive, the better. And then the last two ways, very practical techniques or approaches for reorienting your thoughts are from the teachings from the Law of Attraction, and they're wonderful. The what if game is really fabulous for those of us who have really strong logical minds. Okay, so let's say that you want oh gosh, I should have come up with an example here, but you want an amazing let's say you're having a health challenge, okay? And you think you're against the odds. Maybe the doctors have even told you the odds are against you. Don't listen to them, okay? If somebody's telling you that, just don't listen. Those are some external thoughts that you need to not listen to. So instead, okay, so let's say you feel like, that there's evidence even against you. Let's say another example, it would be you are in an athletic competition and the other team has won, 5 times as many games as your team. Or, you're applying for graduate school and they're accepting only 5 applicants for every 2,000 applications. So it seems like there are these facts that are against you. You know, how am I ever going to get that? And our logical mind gets in the way sometimes in these cases. And it's like, you know, we're just getting that much more in the way of what could be. So that's where the what if game is really fabulous, and we can bypass that logic altogether. So it's just a verbal or written, whichever you find more compelling for you, easier to do, better for you. And it's simply just saying, what if? What if our team would win? One of the teams has to win. Why not ours? And it can bypass that, that logical mind that says everything's stacked against me, because we do create our own worlds. And if you think that the stakes are stacked against you, then you're not helping. That thought is being stacked against you as well. So just play the what if game, and this is really fabulous to apply at the level of our lives. So there's this other technique of telling the story of your life the way you want it to be. So what would your dream life be? Tell that story. Instead of telling the story as it happened, truthfully, or whatever you think might be the truth. I was born on this particular day, and these are the things that happened to me in childhood, and the facts. Write it out in the what if way, and if you have to, every single sentence, what if I win the lottery? What if I were to meet the man or woman of my dreams, and we get married and live happily ever after? What if I did get accepted to medical school, and I got accepted to the school of my choice, and I was a top student, and then I got the residency where I wanted, and dream big. I mean, the what if, it allows you to just lift all perceived limits, and there's no reason that you need to limit yourself when you're writing the life of your dreams, because it's your dream, and it's not for anybody else to tell you that you can't. So if you really do want to go to Yale Medical School, then put it down there. What if I did get accepted to Yale Medical School? And even that, just writing it down or saying it, thinking it is also powerful, but saying it out loud and writing it are even more powerful because it's more concrete. Don't hold back. What if I did have enough money to buy that convertible Porsche or whatever it is? So really allow yourself to be really, brutally honest about what it is you truly, deeply want, truly, deeply desire, and then just play the what if game. What if this would really happen? And you can even play it out even further than that. What if it would happen? Oh my gosh, how would that feel? I would be over the moon. I would be so happy, so joyful. And what would happen next? And then you can just keep writing on those things. So that's a really wonderful way to immediately redirect your thinking from the, oh my gosh, I'm never going to get in. How could I ever get in? They're never going to accept me. I'm not good enough. Blah, 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 blah. It's so old. Those things are just so old. And it's so much more fun and refreshing to bring in those what if, the juicy dreams that you only, nobody has your particular dream. You alone have your unique dream. And there's a reason that you have those dreams. There's a reason that you really want to get into Yale Law School or medical school or whatever it is. There's a reason. There are maybe lots and lots and lots and lots of reasons. Go for it. Okay, and the last one here is to keep a journal of everything that happened during the day. And some of you may have journaling practices that you do. You just like to journal as a way to process what happened. And if you do have that, I would suggest keeping these, the good things, the blessings that happen to you during the day. Keep it in the same journal, because otherwise sometimes we can start to say, okay, which are we going to choose? Am I going to write what happened today, or am I going to write the blessings that happened? And you can do both in the same journal. And sometimes it's nice to write down whatever did happen, whatever you need to process out, and then follow it with everything that good that happened during that day. And sometimes when I do this, it's like it's going on for page and page and page, because when you really don't overlook anything, you'll find that blessings truly are showering down around us every single second from every single direction. I mean, think of all the things that could have gone wrong and be grateful that they didn't. Oh my gosh, I made my bus on time. I'm so grateful for that. And this person came up to me and they gave me a huge hug, and I'm healthy, and this is what's happening, and I have this and I have that. And we may not have all of that. Maybe some really bad things happened in one area of our life, but all of the other things that happened can usually override the bad, usually. So end with that at your day, and I always find that I sleep a lot better when I end my day like that too. Just end my day with just lists of blessings. It could just be a single word, like my family, or that one person that I have in my life, or my pet. I'm so grateful for my pet. So keep your journal of all blessing lists of blessings. Can be another really wonderful way to immediately rewire your brain, and it can be really powerful when you're feeling the worst. Let's say you did have just an absolutely horrible day. One way that you can turn that around really powerfully is to just start focusing on the positive, start focusing on those blessings that are always there, start focusing on the silver lining, and grow those, and just let everything else be. Just let it be. Okay, so that is all I have for you today on this. Hopefully it has been helpful. And until next time, I am sending you many blessings. Bye for now.